As you can see from my trinkets up here in the wall, I like a lot of old stuff. One of my big passions and hobbies are antique engines. I got them planted all over the place, right down to my antique old forklift in the 50s. So what we're going to do today is go over this Hercules hit and miss engine. And the Hercules engine in itself isn't real rare. They were one of the more popular, common farm type engines. The Hercules company made economy engines and Jagger engines, which sometimes are pronounced Jaeger, but they all were real similar in design. What makes this one more rare is that it's a 12 horse. You most generally see 3s, 5s, stuff like that. They say they made a 14, but I don't know, I haven't seen one. Might still be hiding from me somewhere. So we're going to go over this, rather than just sitting here watching something run for the whole video. I thought it would be nice to go over one of these engines and see how they really work, what makes them tick. So basically what these are single cylinder, 4-cycle internal combustion gas engines, water cooled. This big top up here is your water hopper. You keep that filled up with water. They say when these things are running efficiently, the way they should be, that water's boiling in there, but you hardly ever see that because nobody wants to run them that hard anymore when they're at shows. So how these things work are you have basically your cylinder head, valves. You have a rocker arm down here on your exhaust valve. So you might wonder, well, what works the intake valve? These things are designed with these springs real light, so the suction of the piston coming back on intake stroke will suck that valve off its seat and bring your gas air mixture up through the passage. This originally ran on gasoline. This item here, I have it running on propane now. Let's go over here to the learning table. This is basically what it would have had. This is basically what they call a mixer. This would have went up in the head, and you had this gas line that went into your tank. There's a check valve there that keeps the gas in the line as it's running, so it doesn't flow back. You would have down in this base, I still have the gas tank in this. It would be similar, real similar to this. This is a gas tank off of a 5-horse Hercules. It goes up in the base with attaches with these brackets. Then you have your gas feed pipe coming out here. Then would have your fill tube there, and there's a little breather spout. So what a lot of people do, myself included, they like to run these engines as slow as possible without them shutting down. So I did have this one running I still do have it running real slow. And to do that, I had to have the mixer choked off so bad that it just belched black smoke like crazy every time it fired. So I decided to try to run it on propane, and I couldn't get it to run. Some guys can run engines just running the propane through the original gas mixture. They take the needle valve and seat out, but I couldn't seem to get this one to work like that. So this apparatus I got on here right now was off of another engine I had, and it's a pretty elaborate choke system. And so I put another T up there and devised this little valve for my intake. And this is what they call a demand regulator. Comes in a kit. I get these up at Cool Springs when I'm there. And it basically just runs, you have your run-of-the-mill kind of gas grill regulator going on your tank. And what this does, it will not pass gas propane through until it senses a vacuum from the piston coming back, which works out really good for this. So what, I'm gonna go over a little bit what it actually takes to be considered a hit and miss engine. A lot of people, the general public, they like these engines, really like to watch them run, but don't know a whole lot about them. They think if it has flywheels, it's a hit and miss engine, but that's not really the case. We're going to show you a little bit what it means to actually be a hit and miss. And what that means is it doesn't fire every cylinder. You have this, you're going to have to forgive my camera work, so I'm trying to do this one-handed. This governor set up, and you have these flyweights on here. When the flyweights, centrifugal force pops these out, that rod goes in, locks on that. When the cam comes back down around it, it holds that in the locked out position, which means your exhaust valve is open that whole time. When it slows down enough that the spring pressure overcomes this, it'll pop this back out. The exhaust valve will close. You'll continue on your next stroke. And usually this one, it only takes one hit for it to get it up enough to do that. And how you do that is in this housing, there is a spring. Sometimes you'll have shims in there also, but I don't think this had any shims. If I remember, I just kept finding lighter and lighter springs that would work the way I wanted it to. So I'm real pleased with the way it runs right now. So what we got on the top, this is an oiler. This oils your cylinder and connecting rod. How this works, you flip your button up. I'm going to open this up real far so you can really see it dripping. And then you don't run them that fast. There's a formula. I forget how many drips per 30 seconds depending on your load, but that's how that works. And then that goes through this tube down into the top of your cylinder. This has to be sealed up real good because normally you would have water in here. So what that does, I'm going to run this back here a little bit if I can get everything working. It comes down into the top of the cylinder, and in the back of the piston, you will see when it comes through here, there is a hole. So let's go back over here to the learning table. This, where's my light? This is basically the exact same thing, only this is out of a 5-horse economy. You have your oil hole there, and all these rings around there catch that oil and run it up and down the cylinder to lubricate the cylinder. And you have a tube that's down in there that the oil travels down into. And there's a little trough, and it's going to be hard to see. There's a trough down in there that holds the oil, catches it, and that will lubricate your wrist pin. So that's how that works. And this one is particularly fired by a Webster Trimag. Some of them have a EK Wyco on some of the smaller ones. My 5-horse economy has that. But this has been working real well. To grease your connecting rod, your crankshaft, they have these grease cups, they call them. They're threaded. You fill these up with grease, crank them down, the squeezing the grease pushes the grease down through passages, and that's how you lubricate your main bearings and your connecting rod end bearings. Some of them, different engines, have a oiler set up on them, similar to this Bessemer back here that I have, but that'll be another video at some other point. So that's basically the hit and miss engine in a nutshell. This one, people really seem to like it because it runs so slow. So what I'm going to try to do is fire it up now, and we'll let you hear this for a little bit. But you know how any engine guys know how that go. When you're trying to start something up to show somebody, it never wants to go just right. So we'll see what happens. Okay, well, we lucked out. She fired right up on the first time. Seems to be running good. Let me see if I can get my light in here and show you what I'm talking about on this lock. You'll see it's right now, it's in the lock position. You'll see it pop out, and then you'll hear the intake stroke. Fires once, that's enough to kick those flyweights out, locks it out again until the cycle completes and starts all over. Thing is very soothing to me. I could just sit here and when it gets warmed up a little bit more, it will run a little bit slower. Right now, it's cold. This is actually the first startup I've had of this season so far, and due to the current conditions of the pandemic, everybody's spring shows are canceled, and maybe even the summer show. I just heard that the Cool Springs Power Museum main show for the summer is canceled also. So we'll see what happens with this video. So if I get a lot of views and likes on it, I might take a bunch of my engines out in the lot and fire them up and just have our own little engine show via this video. So that's basically how this works. And I usually stick my hand in here and hold this. Yeah, that's going to take too long. I'll shut the gas off, and it might fire one more time. I don't know. You'll see. If it does, it won't fire more than once. So I usually hold that lock in. It just makes it look neater when you're, yeah. All right, that's basically how one of these engines work. You'll see a lot of different configurations, but they really do work in the same way, the hit and miss engines, that is. Now there's another one. I'm going to do another video here at some point. The other style is considered a throttle governed engine, and it basically fires every hit. It has basically like a carburetor on it. So I have one of those, well, numerous of those. And you're going to see a lot more of those videos, and just about anything you see out of here is going to be something from the past. I got a big old Cummins generator out there. I'm going to do a video on it here shortly, of just go over it and see how it looks before I try to get it running. So if you like this, hope you subscribe, hit them likes, share it, and we'll catch you next time with another video. Thanks for watching.